You are scrolling through your phone. A video plays. Someone is being hurt. Dozens of people stand around, filming, watching, doing nothing. You feel disgusted. You tell yourself you would never do that. But the real answer is far stranger. The truth is, the more people who witness someone in trouble, the less likely any single person is to help. Not because people are cruel, not because people don't care. Something else is happening inside your brain. Something ancient. Something you were never taught to notice. Let's go back to March of 1964. A woman named Kitty Genovese was murdered outside her apartment building in Queens, New York. Newspapers reported that dozens of neighbors heard her cries and did nothing. The story shocked the country. How could so many people listen to a woman screaming and not call for help? Were people simply becoming colder? Was city life turning humans into bystanders? Two psychologists refused to accept that explanation. Their names were John Darley and Bibb Latané. They didn't believe people were becoming more heartless. They believed something structural was at play, something built into the way groups of humans behave. So they built an experiment to test it. Participants sat alone in a room, wearing headphones, believing they were having a discussion with other students over an intercom. In reality, the other voices were recordings. Partway through, one voice began to stutter, then gasp, then cry out for help, sounding like it was having a seizure. Here's the twist. Some participants believed they were the only other person listening. Others believed there were several other people listening too. What happened next revealed something unsettling about human nature. When participants believed they were the only witness, almost all of them rushed to help immediately. But when participants believed several other people were also listening, far fewer helped. And those who did help took much longer to act. The presence of other people didn't make anyone feel safer. It made them feel less responsible. Darley and Latané gave this phenomenon a name. They called it diffusion of responsibility. When many people share a duty, no single person feels the full weight of it. Everyone assumes someone else will step in. So often, no one does. Why would your brain work this way? Doesn't that seem backwards? Shouldn't more witnesses mean more chances someone helps? To understand this, you have to think about where your brain actually developed. Not in a city of 8 million strangers. Not surrounded by cameras and crowds of people you will never see again. Your brain took shape over hundreds of thousands of years, in small bands of 30, maybe 50 people who all knew each other by name. In a group that small, responsibility was never diffuse. If someone cried out, everyone in earshot knew exactly who they were, and everyone knew that failing to help carried a personal cost. Your reputation, your standing in the group, your survival depended on people trusting you. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies, including long-term field research by Kim Hill on the Ache people of Paraguay, have documented just how tightly bound survival was to mutual obligation. In small, close-knit bands, helping wasn't optional generosity. It was the currency that kept the entire group alive. Everyone depended on everyone. There was no crowd to hide inside. There was no way to blend into anonymity and let the responsibility drift towards someone else, because there was no one else. Just you, and the people who would remember exactly what you did or didn't do. Now stretch that same brain across a modern city. Surrounded with hundreds of strangers you will never see again, whose names you don't know, whose judgment carries no lasting weight. The ancient calculation breaks down. Your brain, without you even realizing it, is scanning the crowd and asking a question it was never designed to answer at this scale. Who is responsible here? And when there is no clear answer, when responsibility could belong to anyone, your brain often defaults to believing it belongs to someone else. There's a second force working alongside diffusion of responsibility, one that's just as old and just as sneaky. It's called social proof. Before you fully understand what's happening in an emergency, you glance at other people to see how they're reacting. This isn't weakness, it's efficiency. For most of human history, other people's reactions were a fast, reliable shortcut for information you didn't have time to gather yourself. If your ancestors heard a rustle in the grass and everyone around them kept calmly eating, that rustle probably wasn't a threat. If everyone froze, it probably was. Trusting the group's reaction could save your life. But in an emergency where everyone else is also confused, also uncertain, also glancing around waiting for a cue, social proof turns into a trap. Everyone is calm on the outside,